friend Donald Trump in the second shower that has come into your cartoons. The question there I have is obviously that, you know, these days we are so in a world of what they call post-truth or something.
Yeah.
You know, that where truth doesn't really matter anymore. But you now used something also which is not proven, which, you know, is in the domain, but it's not proven. How far can one go in your work, you know, to use something which is actually not fully verifiable and proven, and actually that he accepts himself that it happened?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that even if this is eventually disproved, and I think it's unlikely for that to happen. Seriously, I think it's unlikely. This golden shower business of Trump's. I think there's no one in the world who deserves to be tainted by fake news, who deserves that more than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He and Kellyanne Conway and you know, his whole team survive on faking it. That's what they do. They put out stuff that is the absolute lies or partly lies or sucked out from some very scurrilous source, and they are still fooling quite a lot of the American people, and it's disgusting. And they are labeling people who are producing real news as producers of fake news, even you know, mainstream people like CNN or whatever. And then he has the, you know, Breitbart and these kind of things which have clearly been involved in fake news, which he cites as good sources. So, and Fox News and things like that, absolute scurrilous nonsense that he cites as good sources. In this case, there is this guy Steele who supposedly has this evidence. The Russians. He says the Russians have the tapes, and he had to go into hiding to kind of keep. He says he's got some of these tapes.
Okay.
The American intelligence gave it enough credence to say that they considered the story credible, that the Russians have this, and it was reported on by a number of serious news stations, and then the satirists started, people like Trevor Noah on The Daily Show, and that's where I got the kickstart. I thought, well, okay, it's out there as a story. Now that the meme is there, now that the idea of the golden shower is there, I can't miss this opportunity. So that's when so it's an interesting chain of events that got me to use something which, as you say, is not utterly proven. But I think I've given enough of a background to say, it's there.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's not going to sue some foreign cartoonist, and if he does, all the better, because in this instance it would highlight the thing, and you've got to court. To be really interesting to test that. So I didn't think there was much of a risk, and I also thought it's such a nice connection to also show something of the mentality that's similar. They're both patriarchal, sexist, groping, corrupt, you know, male presidents who play fast and loose with the truth and who are prepared to wreck their countries. So there's a strong similarity in a way. Zuma's small potatoes and Trump is a big shot. So yeah.
Okay, no, that's great. Generally on politics, I mean, you obviously are very interested in politics because that's what you draw most of. Where do you think we're going in the world, you know, with the Zumas and the Trumps and that sort of thing? What is your take on that? To get,
I think it's pretty. I think we're in a pretty bad place at the moment. You know, we've had these issues here in South Africa where our a great movement has been polluted by some terrible people who've really taken over. You know, the fox is running the hen house. Foxes are running the hen house at the moment here. And so that, you know, I think we've been on the skids for a long time, and I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I don't think there's any movement or party that I could put my faith in outside of the ANC, and I have no faith in the ANC. So you know, I think I'm still hoping against hope that the ANC has a way of somehow having yet another breakaway. None of the breakaways have been of any use. I mean, the first major breakaway was, you know, the PAC, and that's an interesting breakaway in the late 50s. Since then, my favourite thing that's happened was the above ground version of the ANC, the United Democratic Front, in 1983, and all that happened over the next 7-8 years. The ANC, the moment it came out of the moment it was unbanned, it dissolved the UDF structures, which I thought was an absolute mistake. I thought it then, I think that now. It still had a glory period of Nelson Mandela being president, our constitution happening, a few years of real forming of good institutions, some very good policies and things, and then you got the rot setting in, including during Mbeki's term, particularly during Zuma's. In the world, I mean, to have Trump and to have what's happening in Syria, you know, being supported by Russia and China, Putin being a huge kleptocrat, a new kind of Cold War developing, even though you've got the strange connection between Donald Trump and Putin, to have Syria, the carnage in Syria, to have the ongoing Middle East crisis which affects the whole world, and Israel just doesn't get it. And I'm afraid my fellow Jews from around the world don't get it either. That, I mean, Israel is an apartheid state. To have all of those things, to have Turkey going backwards with Erdogan, to have the right wing in Europe on the rise, Le Pen, and you know, in the Netherlands, to have all of these things happening, I think we're in for an incredibly rough ride in the next few years. I think it's going to. It's always in a way good for a cartoonist, but as a citizen of the world and a citizen of South Africa, I'd rather have less material and have things work better.